Hey guys, I just wanted to show you an example. If we had a triangular prism and we were asked to calculate the height of the prism, so we're basically looking at calculating this right here, not that, this right here. We're looking to calculate this piece of my triangle and figure out how high that is. That's my unknown. So obviously when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at this idea that I know that I have 350 square centimeters is the total surface area for the entire piece. I need to get rid of the pieces that I don't need, which in this case are all the rectangles because a triangle has the height to it. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to find the surface, or I'm going to find the area of the different triangles. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Sorry, I keep making messes here. Hopefully that's making sense. So I'm going to start by looking at this side piece, and to do that I'm simply going to say, hey, I'm going to be multiplying this side by this side. So I'm simply finding the area of this piece, and I'm going 6 times my 15, and in my head I'm going to say 60 and 30 is 90, so that's 90 centimeters squared. So that's the area of that one piece. I am very aware that I have the exact same piece on the other side, which is 90 again. So I have two of these. Because I can see these circles, that's how I know that left side and right side of this is exactly the same, because those are indicating this is an isosceles triangle that I'm looking at. So I'm going to actually take advantage of that, and I'm just simply going to times it by 2 because I have two of them. So in total, those two side lengths, and if you want I can write sides, those two sides is 180 centimeters squared. The other rectangle that makes this up is my bottom piece, and my bottom piece is simply the 8 by 15. So I can turn around and say, okay, well, find the area again, it's length times width, or 8 times 15. 80 and 40 is 120 centimeters squared. So I now know that I have 120 centimeters squared, and I know that I'm kind of in this situation where now these are the pieces that add up, or that are connected to everything except the triangles. So I know I can now take this 350 centimeters squared, which is the entire surface area, and I can subtract these guys added together. So what is that? 300, right? 180 plus 120 is equal to 300, I hope. Centimeters squared. So now when I do this, and when I subtract these, I'm left with 50 centimeters squared. Now this 50 centimeters squared is basically the area of the two triangles. That's what's really key. So that 50 is for each of those triangles. Now I have two triangles. I only need the area of one triangle to really get this solved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take that 50 and I'm going to divide it by 2. Again, I'm doing that because we have two triangles. That 50 is the two triangles. So if I divide by 2, now I have 25 centimeters squared. This represents one triangle. So knowing that now, what I can do is I can turn around and use the knowledge that I have. I'm just going to keep the triangle on the screen. But I now know that the entire angle, I'll draw a picture of the triangle. I have this triangle sitting here, and I know the bottom section of that triangle is 8 centimeters, and I know the side sections are 6, but that doesn't really help me. What I need to know is I need to know this height, and I don't know that. That's my question mark. I do know, though, the area is 25. So knowing that the area is 25, I can turn around and look at my area formula for a triangle, which is base times height divided by 2. Well, I know my area. My area is 25 centimeters squared, so I'm going to use algebra to kind of finish this up. I know my base is my 8 centimeters, and I know that I'm timesing that base by my height, but I don't know that height, so I'm just going to leave it as an h, and then I'm going to divide by 2. So when I'm looking at solving this question, I'm simply going to use my algebra, and I'm simply looking for a way to figure out what to get rid of this 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. That means now 50 is equal to, these two canceled, 8, and I'm going to get rid of the centimeters just to make it a little simpler, times height. To get height by itself, most of us know, 8 times height is the same as saying if I divide by 8 and I divide this side by 8, h will equal whatever 50 divided by 8 is. Originally I did this question slightly different, but if I pull out a calculator for this one, because let's be honest, it's going to give me a decimal, and I go 50 divided by 8, I get an answer of 6.25. So we now know the height is 6.25, and because my units are centimeters and everything has been connected to centimeters, this had centimeters squared. You notice when I times it by 2, I just dropped the units. And this had units of centimeters, and when I did my dividing by 2, or multiplying by 2, I apologize, I got rid of my centimeters. I just simply left it out. I'm simply dividing. This 50 is centimeters squared, and this 8 is centimeters. A centimeter squared divided by a centimeter leaves a unit of a centimeter. So that's how you solve these questions that involve figuring out height. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Watch it a couple of times. Make sure you know